went to the hot cross bun store.
Oh,
Yeah.
is it just for hot cross buns?
Oh no, they sell other shit, but we don't care about
Oh,
that.
right.
Yeah, yeah. They do the. I mean, it's a full-on bakery. It's called Janus, I think is how you pronounce it, but it's got a J, so
Mhm.
maybe it's Janus. But I'm going with Janus. That sounds suitably cool and bohemian. Yeah, and they're like, I would say that if you got like a medieval tournament, like a jousting match, and you got Janus on one side and you got Pandora Bakery on the other, two bakeries of the top of Wellington, and you ran them at each other, there would be a stalemate, right? Because some of them, yeah.
Oh,
So, but they do some good shit, and Pandora are not out here in the hut. In fact, I'm not sure if they're going anymore, but Janus are, and they always have been, and they have this awesome bakery, almond croissants to die for, whatever.
oh, I love those. Yeah.
Yeah, but at Easter time we book on in there, and I think we've got 6 boxes of hot cross buns. So, and there's 6 hot cross buns in a box. So I mean, it's a few mornings of hot cross buns,
Yeah.
probably only 3 or 4 at the rate of consumption we've got. But yeah,
Nice.
yeah,
Very
nice.
prepared. Yeah.
All right. I kick into the interview, I reckon. So, hello, this is Cassie Hart, and we are doing a mad interview today. It's going to be a little bit unplugged, I think, a little bit retro. We've got
Unhinged.
that's a good way of putting it. You and I are both unhinged. We can argue about who's more unhinged if you like. I'm happy
Depends
for
on
you to
the
win that
day.
one. Uh, but this is not really about me. So I think maybe I'll turn it over to you, and you can just vibe with
Oh,
me for a minute
God.
on you. Tell me about yourself, right? And maybe for a bit of spice, why don't you tell everybody how we met? Because it's been fucking years.
You do remember though, don't you?
I do. I do.
Oh, good. It's unforgettable. Okay. First about me, I am a writer, editor, mentor, mother, wife, bullshit. Are we allowed, yeah, it's your channel. Are we allowed to swear? I'm like, oh my God, yeah, it's Richard. Yeah. Anyway, I live in Taranaki. I write speculative fiction. I knit. I read a lot. And Richard and I met, did you say it was 12 years ago?
I think so. It's been a
Yeah,
long ass time.
it has been a long ass time. We met playing Guild Wars 2. And it was the most epic thing. Richard joined the guild I was in.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, and there was a forum back in the day where guilds had like forums, because I don't know that they do so much these days, but it was so great. And you had the intro section, and Richard was like, I'm a writer from New Zealand. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, oh my God, I'm a writer from New Zealand. And you were writing like urban fantasy, kind of sci-fi stuff at the time, which you still write among fantasy. Yeah, it was just like one of those like, holy shit, I have to be friends with this person. So thankfully the feeling was mutual.
I think you
Yeah.
downplay it though, because at the time you were already an established author, and I was a baby author, I was a little tiny author, and I was writing my first novel, and I was in a writers group here in Wellington, just trying to work it out. And from my perspective, when I met you playing video games, I'm like, holy shit, there's actually a real author playing videos. Because until that time, all of the New Zealand authors that I'd met were either tryhards like me trying to work out how to do it, or they were writing New Zealand fiction, and you were writing actual like shit with spells in it and heroes and stuff like that. And I was like, are you sure you're in New Zealand?
Yeah. Yeah. So we've been buds since then, and had a real life in person crit group at one point when I was living down your way, which was awesome. Like the only thing I miss about living down that way. So yeah. But yeah, thank goodness for the internet and Guild Wars, which we still both play sporadically. So yeah.
I try not to be resentful about the fact that you got your Sky Scale and I did not.
I worked my ass off for that.
I totally get it. Let's move on from that topic. It's still sensitive to me. All right. So one of the reasons I wanted to do a wee interview with you is I have been sitting in admiration of your life for quite some time, and you probably don't think about your life as something that is something that somebody might admire. But I've just been in awe of all the things that you have managed to juggle over time, and how successful you're still managing to be while juggling all of those things. And so one of the reasons I wanted to get an interview with you online is I think you might have some really cool insights to share with people, some experiential stories about how you kick ass for the Lord, so to speak, despite all the things going on. So I guess the first way I'd like to touch on this, because a lot of the people watching this are likely to be other authors, is what does writing look like for you in the pressure cooker of your life?
It really depends on what the current crisis is. Is that a soda stream bottle?
There's a soda stream bottle. It's just got water in it. It's not vodka. I know that's really unusual for me, but it's just,
It's still quite early.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It can change from day to day. I had just recently, like maybe 2 weeks ago, got my 5-year streak badge on For the Words, which is a writing game that I play. I know you get pretty wings for the big ones. So yeah, it was exciting to get 5 years. And so for me, it's important to make sure I'm writing something every day, even if it's not fiction. Yeah, so I think it really depends on the day. Sometimes it's an escape. Sometimes it's the thing I force myself to do because I know it's good for me. Yeah.
That makes real sense to me. I just you mentioned the tool For the Words, and I have very briefly covered that in a couple of my posts before. But for people out there who've just heard that and gone, can you maybe describe first of all what it is and how it helps you vibe with the words?
Yeah, I can. I am a big fan of gamification, and so for writers, For the Words is the best way to gamify if you like fantasy and questing and that kind of stuff. I love a good quest. You've got your main quest, you've got side quests, you've got special events. So there's always something new and shiny, which really works for me because I like variety. Yeah, so you basically, if you write 444 words every day, you build up the streak. And it's run by a great team who put a lot of time and effort into the community. So for me, it works really, really well. It's not for everybody, but it's certainly been a game changer for me. Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense. I played around with it when it first came out. I absolutely loved it, but I eventually tapped out because it has a subscription fee, and I have a deep and abiding phobia of those things. So, I guess the next thing I'd like to touch on is the kind of eternal war that I see online, and your view on this, because quite a lot of people will, if they're in a writing frame of mind, they're trying to be creative, whether it's words on a blank page or casting a bust from clay or whatever it is, they find the act of creation quite difficult when the shit is going on, right? And you've just been quietly achieving quite a long-running creative agenda despite all of the fuckery, and you've gone through some fuckery,
Yeah.
and so I am kind of interested to know, your tools and techniques and tricks and tips and things like that about how do you do it? Like, how do you is writer's block a thing for you? How do you generate creativity when shit has gone wrong? Don't know if we can talk about your side project that you're doing at the library with your no, I'm not gonna say
What
anything.
project?
You've got the
Oh, my
you're doing
writing.
you're doing actual writing with a pen. I don't want to talk
Yeah.
about that unless you want to, but yeah. So can you vibe with me on that?
Yeah, I think I used to be a really restricted writer, but as I've gotten older and as life has gotten more chaotic, I've realized that I need more variety. So sometimes you just have to work with whatever works. So I've been doing things like, so I've recently been diagnosed with ADHD and I've already forgotten what the question was, but I'm just going to keep talking and we're going to pretend that the question is whatever my answer answers. So Yeah, I have been doing a lot of handwriting lately because sometimes I find that when my brain is locked up, the slower handwriting helps me to unlock something I didn't have before, which is probably not a good way to describe it. I don't know how to describe it, but it slows the whole process down because I can type super fast. Um, so sometimes my fingers get ahead of my brain and it's all just shit. So handwriting can be really good. I'm in particular handwriting the project that Richard is talking about. Not all of it, some of it. Some of it I'm doing by voice to text, which is also super interesting. Um, but I'm finding that as I write, the questions come up, and then instead of ignoring them or putting them in square brackets like I normally do, I'm taking the time to explore various options on the page as I go, which has been really fun for me. Or like speech to text is a really good one as well, I think, because sometimes you just want to go blah, 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 which is basically what I do to Richard every morning. That's right, I haven't told you about this morning's fuckery because we didn't have a call, but it involves an elderly dog and some messy poop situations. So not fun. Yeah. So voice to text, Otter AI is a great app. It understands the Kiwi accent for the most part.
That
Although
is
it
a
has
rare
some,
unicorn.
I know, I know. I was really impressed. The only thing is it doesn't understand Te Māori, so it comes up with some really interesting versions of what the Māori languages, Māori words are. And sometimes I have to go, what the hell was I talking about? Yeah.
I feel like Otter AI probably understands more about the Māori language than the ACT Party, but
Yes.
we'll just move on from that one. So I guess the thing that was interesting to me about the journaling project is it's a side project that you're cooking on while you're already doing other projects, right? And that's a
Yeah.
thing. That's a thing I have trouble with. Like when I'm in a thing, I'm in the thing, right? And if
Yeah.
I try and do something else, it breaks my flow. So, does this kind of side project of journaling or a secondary project? Do you find that's actually a infusion of creative energy for the other things you're doing? Like, is more a thing that provides you more spark?
I think sometimes it is. As an indie author, you're always primarily thinking about, well, I'm always thinking about what I want to write because I can't write things I don't want to write, but also thinking about what people might want to read, which is kind of important for making any money. Um, so giving myself permission to actually just write something without any other factors, like I'm not thinking about a publisher, I'm not thinking about a reader. I'm actually just thinking about me. It's so selfish and it's beautiful. Because it's so selfish and I'm just writing it because I want to explore things or I want to enjoy things. And it's always really funny when I talk about it because I'm like, oh yeah, I'm writing this. It's so joyful. It's so fun. It's like, yeah, there's some murder and curses and, like all this awful stuff is trauma and, predation and yeah, like so fun, so full of joy.
You're in your happy place. I've just murdered 6 people.
Yeah,
What fun!
yeah, yeah. I'm like, yeah, it just really fills my soul. We all need an outlet, especially for feminine rage, I think, in these days and times.
Oh, there's a lot of things to be enraged about.
Yeah.
Do you, I think the feminine rage is kind of an interesting question. Do you find there are things that, whether it's around something that tamps down on feminine rage, do you think there are things that are easier to write about when you're feeling under pressure?
No, I don't think so. Because I think sometimes, so for some context, because a lot of people won't have any idea about me, the last 2 years in particular, we've been dealing with like serious mental health crisis of my eldest, who's a young adult now. And it's been really traumatic and chaotic and exhausting and all sorts of other feelings. So sometimes writing during that would be really easy because I could channel things onto the page, the things that I was feeling, because we all have feelings that are not always helpful. So we can get them out in our creative writing. Sometimes it was really hard because it was like I felt like there was a, like wax over my mouth, and I wasn't able to talk about it yet, even if a talking wasn't writing. So I think it really varies. But sometimes when you're feeling locked up in one area, it can be good to work on something else entirely. So I have quite often over the last few years written, I guess, creative nonfiction. I don't know what you call it. What would my blog be? Blog posts. That's part of why I started writing Chronically Burnt Out but Hopeful. Forgot my own name. Is because I needed an outlet that was just for me to, yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. I mean, I would call it's a good time to segue into the next item on our run sheet, which is tools for the tough times, because I think Chronically Burnt Out it's certainly been something I've benefited from you writing. But it also looks like something that you've benefited from writing, and I think it's a little bit more than a journal, because I think a journal is people go, today Spot ran, or today Spot was very sad, or today Spot chased a ball, or any of those kinds of things, right? That's kind of like a journal. But I think what you do with Chronically Burnt Out is that you say, absolute meteor just impacted my life, and you're really honest about the meteor, because I think there's a real prevalence for people online to not talk about the things that are hard. That there's a fear of making it look like things might be bad, or your life is less than perfect. I think certainly we can blame Instagram for a lot of that. But then you go, and here's what I've learned from it. And it's not always like you might go, here's what I've learned before I wrote this post, or in a later post you might go, actually I reflected on this other thing. And so how do you slot Chronically Burnt Out into your kind of like tooling process?
I always find that I get an urge, and that's how it started, was like I had an urge to write somewhere about what I was doing, and I wanted to, like, my family are like, what are they, armchair scientists? I don't know what you'd call it, like always looking to experiment and discover what influences other things. And so I kind of wanted to apply that to my life. Like, things are shit, and this is what I know about it, and this is what I don't know about it, and here are some things I could try. What's going to happen? Or like, even just like, I have this massive problem and it's chaotic and I'm not okay, but I'm okay. Do you have any ideas? But it's always just like something, whatever's happening for me at the time is something. I get to a point in my head, it's like, I need to write about this. And, that there's some posts that I haven't put up, usually because I've moved past that feeling by the time I get a chance to do it. I have probably 4 unpublished posts about walking because it's a huge feature of my life. Yeah, but for me, it's a part of a process of looking at my life. It's almost a bit like editing. Like when you look at a scene and you go, there's something not right here. What is it that's not right? And how do I fix it? And then you reflect and go, does that fix the problem? Or if I just made it worse, how could I tweak it? So I guess it's kind of a self-editing my own life. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think there's my wife and I talk a lot about introspection and how valuable it is, and it sounds like Chronically Burnt Out is a valuable introspective tool. In terms of that introspection and the things that you've learned, are there some practical insights that you could share with people trying to live a creative life, whether it's playing the harmonica or writing a book or whatever, that doing something like your journal has helped with?
It's a really big question, dude.
I, I've got all morning. We can just hang out on this call.
Okay, practical advice. I don't know. See, I think the thing is, and maybe the thing that we don't remember very often is that we are the experts of our own lives. Like, we're the only people who've been there for the whole fucking thing. And a lot of the time we lie to ourselves, but that doesn't mean we don't know the truth of it. And maybe we just can't see it yet. So I think whatever practice works for you to scrape back, the shoddy paint job that we've slapped on who we are, to help reveal who we really are. And just that kind of process can be helpful, whether it's journaling or talking to friends or therapy or, yelling at the ocean, literally whatever works for you. Sometimes I yell at the ocean, dude, okay? Sometimes you have to yell at the ocean. It can take it. It's huge, But I think it's that for me. And I don't know if it is even practical. Just like it's a thing that I suggest is that we all try to stop lying to ourselves.
I think that is quite practical. I've been exploring the idea over the last few years that society says that it's not okay to feel bad things. So, for example, the classic one is that it's not okay to be angry, right? And certainly anger management. If your default response is to pick up a chair and beat somebody at the pub with it, you might have an anger management issue. But it's not necessarily a bad thing to feel angry, and being in a space where you can shout at the ocean because you're angry or sad or whatever, recognizes that necessity of emotions that we might dub as negative, but are actually just emotions.
They are just emotions. And I think we can learn a lot of things in our childhood about emotions that stop it being okay to feel certain emotions. I was talking to my mother last Friday, I think it was actually, about this, because it wasn't until I was 20 that I remember being angry. Before then, I suppressed any feelings of rage into grief. I would cry. I cried about everything. I didn't get angry. I got sad. And I got angry, and it's so random. Someone broke into my car and stole my CD player, and I was so pissed off. Like, it's the first time I remember being angry. Someone stole my fucking CD player, and this was like 1990, 2000 or whatever. Yeah. I was so mad, but I hadn't been mad to the point that I remember, like, I'd been in a production, and in one of the scenes I was meant to be mad about something, but I couldn't even act mad. Yeah. So I think, there was a lot of anger. My dad's amazing and I love him, but he yelled a lot when I was a kid. And for whatever reason, I suppressed all my anger as a result because it was scary. So, and I guess maybe I didn't want to scare other people. I don't know. But I think that all emotions are okay. There are also appropriate ways to express those emotions. And that's maybe what we struggle a bit with as society. Like I've always said to the kids, it's okay to be mad, but it's not okay to take it out on somebody else. And I try and I think sometimes that's a little bit telling myself as well. It's okay to be pissed off about something, but it's not okay to blame someone else for it or, scream at people. Yeah.
Yeah, there's that whole differential term about fault versus responsibility, right? Because it might not be your fault that you feel mad, like somebody might have keyed your car and you feel mad about that, but it is your responsibility to deal with it. I do think if somebody keys your car, you are legally allowed to put them in a wood chipper, but you'll wanna check the legislation on that. What's a Thinking about tools, like I know that you've managed to pull creativity out of a hat at a moment's notice. Do you have like one tool or trick, maybe it's walking, that never fails when your brain is absolutely fucked?
So one tool that always works. I don't think there is a tool that always works, so I'm going to fail on this question right from the get-go. But for me, I have playlists, and I use those to trigger different things. So I have a playlist for every book. I have a fight scene playlist. This is on Spotify. I have a sex scene playlist. I have
Boom, shika, wow, wow.
Yeah, well, it's funny because I think what people assume might be on a playlist of mine is not necessarily what's on a playlist of mine. So I think that one's private. I don't know. Do I want to share that with anybody? But yeah, I think that can be a good way to kind of trigger a certain thing in your mind. I listen to Mike Shinoda almost exclusively if I need to get shit done, because for whatever reason that works for my brain. Going to the beach is another really good tool for me. I don't live far from the beach, so it's easy for me to do. I do not do it often enough. I need to go. I'm going on Sunday. So the dog turns 2 on Sunday, and I get to walk around the beach on a birthday. So I'm
It's
looking forward to that.
like a birthday for you as well. All right. I feel like there's probably a set of things that you've described on your chronically burnt out journal that I would call burnout survival skills. Do you have, 2, 3, 5 burnout survival skills that have got you through, and can you describe them a little bit?
Okay. Tools. Learning how to rest. It's really hard, but really important. And it's okay to rest in whatever way works for you. For me, it usually looks like doing 2 things at once, but it's still rest. So I think actually, now that I know I have ADHD, I think it's an ADHD thing, but I'll listen to an audiobook and play mindless games on my phone. Because actually, if my brain's needing a lot of calming, I can't focus on reading a print book. So I've got to work with what I've got. And I quite often will knit while I'm doing something else, like watching a show or listening to a book, because the movement of my hands, I've got a squishy here. If you see me doing things, I'm not knitting because I need to count. And I can't count and talk at the same time. Yes, mine's a kitty.
Mine is actually a stress ball that I got while working for the Death Star, and I have squeezed it so much it has no writing left on it, which should tell you a lot about what working for a Death Star is like.
Alive.
Yeah, I never gave this to a dog, so that's why.
Don't give anything to a dog.
That wouldn't even last them. That wouldn't even last an afternoon. Sorry, I cut you off. My beautiful orange squeezy toy.
Yeah, squeezy toys are great. I think they're very important. So yes, learning how to rest, very important. I would highly recommend, if at all possible, going for a walk. I did write a post actually about walking. I think there's a couple probably. Like I said, I've done a lot of writing about walking. It's been hugely important for me. And when I walk, I don't listen to anything. I don't have any headphones or earbuds or anything. I take my dog and I walk and I listen to the real world, which I think is important. And one thing that is important about walking is to do it all year and all seasons, because I think noticing things like when flowers start to bloom, or when the leaves start to yellow and drop, or the first frost, or those kind of things, or even, like who's got a new dog, or which cats you see on a regular basis, and even which birds have territories in which areas and how that shifts over time. And I think sometimes, like, it's not a thing you can get an immediate benefit from, but over time it helps you to feel connected with the natural world, which I think is really important. It's very important for me. And also to the change of seasons and how life feels so fast and chaotic so much of the time that, like, I literally am like, how the fuck are we in April? How are we in the second quarter of the year? But at the same time, I've been walking every day and I've seen the leaves starting to yellow. And so I'm still connected with actual natural real time versus the way time is sped up and chaotic in the rest of our lives. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, don't they call it silent walking when you walk without your earbuds in? I can't remember, which is odd because it's not silent. But anyway, it's a thing. When I mean, for me, the absolute number one tool is the walking thing, is to getting out and getting out of the four walls and whatever the environment is. All right, let's go on to lessons that you've got, but you can share with other people. So when you are working on chronically burnt out, what have you learned about yourself while writing the journal?
So many things. I'm finding that one hard to answer. What have you learned about me from reading it?
I think you have like the most obvious thing is that you think that you've got a finite reservoir of ability to deal with fuckery, but you've actually got a bigger reservoir than you think, or you've got tools that help you deal with that. And so there's been certainly from an observable point of view, there's been your ability to go into a situation that might just moulay somebody else, but you find a way to make it work through either an approach or thinking about it or whatever. So I mean, that's a super obvious one to me.
Oh, that's really cool to hear, actually. I think for me, a lot of it has kind of taught me that I know myself pretty well. And I'm quite good at the whole introspection thing. I'm less good at applying things, but I think part of the beauty of the process is like writing about stuff and realizing, oh, there was a time in my life when I knew how to deal with this, and I've completely forgotten it, but I remember it now because I've kind of thought about things. So I think a lot of the answers to our problems are inside us. It's just a matter of digging in and revealing those. And that can be a bit scary sometimes because then you can't blame anyone else for things. Yeah. And that's a bit shitty. So I guess maybe that's the other thing I've realized is that I am such a huge part of my own problems. Although I'm liable to like take the responsibility for everything. But sometimes it's like, now I know this thing and I have to do something about it because I don't want to feel this way anymore. Which also sucks, but I'm committed to growth because I don't want to feel shit anymore. Like I don't want to feel like that anymore. I'm always likely to be chronically ill, and I may always be burnt out. I don't know how long you have to have a good night's sleep to recover from even just like years of sleep deficit. I don't think you can make that up. So I am hopeful that I will get to a point where I have more energy though. And I think one of the other things I've learned, which I probably wouldn't have, and it's back to walking, is about how 18 months ago, walking to the dairy felt too hard. And now we're walking 4Ks in the morning and I can still got energy to do stuff across the day. And so that single revelation, which I may not have thought about if I hadn't been journaling, was like, shit, there's hope for everything. Like if over 18 months of just going for a walk in the morning and making it a bit longer and being consistent can change from it being too hard to walk a short distance to being able to go kilometers. And, and we can do more on a weekend when we have nothing else going on. But that's, like there is hope in every situation. And sometimes that hope comes from doing small things consistently over time.
Yeah, it's that progress, not perfection angle, right? A lot of people strive for the one-stop solution or the instant solution, and life is often just a series of small steps. Another thing you've touched on just then, but I think is worth calling out, is that another thing I've noticed that you've picked up through the journal is that it's not that other people are the problem. That's the wrong way of thinking about it. It's that other people can be part of the solution, because,
Mm,
from as long as I've known you, you've been like, I will fucking fix it myself. You have been that person. And
yes.
I think you're approaching more of a, co-opting your family to help out, or co-opting your friends, or acknowledging that going for a coffee with friends is a good use of time, even if you're insanely busy, because it
Hmm.
de-threads a different part of your brain. And so, yeah,
Yeah.
how do you find this has helped your connectedness with people and your co-opting them? Has it been difficult to rely on the generosity of friends, family, and even strangers?
I do find it hard, but I think I'm finding it easier. And I think part of that is actually starting to see the value in me that others see in me, which has been really hard because I'm so hard on myself. I always think the worst of myself. I am the meanest person to myself, but I'm starting to be less mean. I remember, I think it
If
was
you
you.
like, I can be
Yeah.
mean to you. I can be that person for you. You let me know.
Well, I think it was, I was just going to say, I think it was you who said to me years ago, I think when I got into Te Papa Tupu or like one on board or something, that I'm the only person who's ever surprised when I achieve things. Like, yeah, I'm always just like, oh, I didn't expect that. And you guys were like, Cassie. Yeah. So I think being able to start seeing the value in myself makes it easier to allow or ask other people to help me out. Um, yeah. So that's certainly part of what's come out of chronically burnt out has been that that reflection and that introspection and also asking asking for help. And it's been like so great. I don't have to do grocery shopping now. And I'm so grateful for that. Um, although we got a new fridge on Monday, and so Simon couldn't do the grocery shopping on Sunday, which means I have been to the supermarket 3 times this week. Because I go and I get overwhelmed, and then I can just like, I'm just going to get meat for tonight, and I'm going to run away. Yeah.
Uh, Ordinary people get overwhelmed by the supermarket. It's a den of iniquity. It's worse than Isley
I
Spaceport.
hate it so much. It's so
Yeah,
bad.
yeah. Yeah, I'd rather iron my hands than go to the supermarket. Um, I guess there's a probably a natural segue here from the thinking about people who help you out to Substack, because you were my gateway drug to Substack. You were like, you need to get on
Mhm.
here and do something. There's a great reader connection, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not sure about that, but I've certainly got some very positive things to say about it now. But I'm really interested. I could wax lyrical on Substack for ages, but I'm really interested about your kind of like reader response to starting chronically burnt out, because you just fired it up and then started
I
getting a
did.
following. Yeah. And so what have people's responses been like?
It's been really interesting um, because so I started on, I think I had my newsletter subscribers for Cassie Hart were on there. So I already had some subscribers, but I hadn't used it in ages. And then I was just like, fuck it, I'm going to do this thing. Made my glitter rainbow trash can logo, which I fucking love. Like, I love it so much. I need a sticker. Um, anyway, I was just like, I'm just going to do this. And sometimes I have to do a thing and just fire it out, or I think too hard about it and then I don't do it. So I just started doing it and I thought, I'm going to do it for me. I'm going to write for myself primarily, but because I'm exploring things, hopefully other people might get stuff out of it. And every time I send a post, I get a lot of feedback. And a lot of the time, it's not in the comments, it's a reply to the post via email, or people message me or send me an email if they know me. So it's just like sometimes part of me, the part that's kind of like locked into the whole system is like, oh, could you just like it on Substack? But also that doesn't necessarily why I'm doing it, right? I'm doing it because I need it and I want it. Um, so, but also it has been so helpful for other people. I so often get people go, oh, I'm going to read that book, or oh, I'm going to try that out, or this made me think of that, or like, I so understand how you feel. So really, I appreciate it all so much when anyone sends me any kind of feedback. But it's all been so positive. And also, I think because my mum reads it and lots of my good friends, it's given them an insight into me that I didn't allow them to have before. So they know me better, because I don't always find it easy to have conversations or share things, because if I verbalize it to somebody, I worry that they will then feel like they have to do something about it, or I don't want to be a burden to people, or that kind of thing. And sometimes I write a post and be like, hey, mum, you might not want to read this one. And then she'll go and read it anyway. Yeah. Yeah. So it's been really interesting.
Yeah, I think that, I mean, I suspect that's more of a commentary on the fact that you've done good things for people for so long, that halo is coming back to join you again. So, well done. I do find it interesting, their commentary on Substack, people replying to you directly, because that's what I initially did. And there's a couple of reasons for that. The first is I wanted to reply to you directly rather than using some faceless media corporation. I thought that was the more personal thing to do. And I didn't really understand how Substack worked initially. It is different from anything else, and so I didn't understand.
Yeah.
There's actually a algorithmic gremlin at the back end, and so I really get that thing where actually people replying to you directly, it's nice, but it's actually not effective if you want that message to be heard. So I
Yeah.
guess if people watch this and check out Chronically Burnt Out, my message to them would be to like the fucking article online. Just click the little heart button. It's not a difficult thing. And then
I could probably actually mention that, couldn't I? In one, just like, hey, like this thing.
yeah, I think coming from you, it sounds remarkably self-serving, but coming from me, it sounds like just, just,
Yeah,
yeah.
agreed. I find it very hard to do those kind of things.
All right. Productivity and a tire fire. I've just got that as a heading down here. I'm not quite sure what I meant. Oh, that's not what I meant. What do you do to keep yourself going when the world is hard or outright hostile?
It's a really good question. And I think it's one that lots of people ask themselves all the time. They probably ask ChatGPT and Google, which is all AI now anyway. God, my kids are like, no, I don't want an AI answer. I want to read an article. It's so funny. It's like, oh, I didn't even realize the first response is always AI. Anyway, what do I do in a tie fire? Because my life is or has been like that a lot. And I think you have to look for what brings you solace. And that will help you to figure out how to keep going. For me, writing is so important that it is a mental health practice. So if I stop, if it means I'm giving up on myself. That's how it feels to me. Like every time I think, oh, I should just be a Stepford wife, or I should go get a full-time job, I just get so sad. Sometimes it feels like that, right? Like I have 3 teenagers, they all have their own special needs, and my husband is very busy with his job. And so it's like, if I could just be happy making meals and vacuuming and cleaning, life would be so simple. And I'm like, maybe I just need to give up all of the creativity. But it just makes me so sad that I can't do it, So it's like, when you find those things that are so essential a part of you, you can't fucking quit on yourself. I've tried a lot, but I always have to keep going back to it, because actually I can't give up on myself. And I think if we can find, oh, there's a cat in the garden. It's the neighbour's cat. If whatever it is that is vital to our existence, we have to hold on to that and do whatever we can to keep it burning. And I think most people who are creative feel like that in some way about their creativity. Like if I'm not writing, I'm editing and I edit for other people because actually I love the act of making things better. And if I'm not doing those things, I'm knitting. And I'm not great at knitting, but it's physically seeing a thing develop and grow is so life affirming. So I think it's going to be different for everybody. But find the thing that gives you solace, find the thing that reminds you that we can all grow, that life goes on, and cling to them with whatever you've got. Yeah.
I think that's really good advice, because I think as we go through life, we're almost told that the creative thing isn't important. As we go through school, it's like, well, do your math, do your
100%.
science, that kind of stuff. And it's possible that people conflate importance with money. Like creativity as a
Yeah.
profession is difficult to make a lot of money from. Taylor Swift probably does okay, but
Yeah, probably.
there's a few people a little bit further down the ladder who probably don't do so well. And I feel like people think, well, if I can't be good at it, whatever good means, or I can't make a lot of cash from it, whatever that means for them, then it's not valuable. But the
Yeah,
process of doing it is valuable.
it is. It really is. And I think a lot of the time it doesn't even have to be for somebody else. Like sometimes our greatest joy is, and it is for me right now, like writing something that's delicious and it just like fucking lights me up. And I can keep it hidden from other people. And it's like my naughty little secret, like because it's just for me and it feels so self-indulgent. And that's like, and it doesn't cost me anything. And that's the beauty of creativity, I think, is that you can find these ways to nurture yourself that are free a lot of the time. They take some time and maybe you need a few different tools, but a lot of the time it's not going to break the bank and the economy is shit, so we don't want to do anything that breaks the bank. Uh, yeah.
The economy is proper fucked. All right. I guess I touched on it earlier about how when you've written Chronically Burnt Out, you're very open and honest about life and what's going on for you, and you're very transparent to your readership. I'm curious to know whether or not that has changed how you show up as either an author or a friend or a mother. Like, has that realness broadcasted into your creative work or how you're dealing with your kids or anything like that, or is it a separate thing, a separate entity?
No, see, I think I was always like that in some ways because I spent so long pretending I was okay that when I kind of broke down, I stopped being able to pretend, and it's messy and it's not pretty, but sometimes that is just how it is. So I'm still pretty good at faking it sometimes, but I wrote a post about being a liar not long ago, um, because my youngest kid was like, "You're a liar. You lie all the time.
Get
Every
out of
time
the
you say you're
house!
okay."
Get the fuck out!
No, see, I think this is a huge testament to my parenting that my kids can be so brutally fucking honest with me. And she's right. I am lying. Every time I say I'm okay, it's a lie. And so I wrote a post about that. I was like, that sucks. Just like when my middle kid was like, "It's your fault we don't have any money." I'm like, fuck. Because you go to the supermarket and you buy random things. I'm like, I do because I can't do that. But everyone's been making me do that for years. And it's like, well, actually, did you ever fucking stop to ask somebody else to do it? No, because I felt like I had to take responsibility for it all the time. So it's like, yeah. So I think it's my kids are definitely a testament to me. The fact that they can say such brutal truths, and know that they're safe to do that. But they're so insightful, like can't pull the wool over their eyes. They know. Yes.
I would feel like I'd want a truth meter though. Like, give me the truth. No, too much. No, down to weight. Down to
Yeah.
weight.
Yeah. I think I've gotten a lot better with dealing with the truth. I used to deny it all the time, but now when someone says something to me, I'm like, okay, whew, that really stings. But there is truth in that. Yeah. And often there is. And I am very, very blessed to have cultivated friendships with people who are able to be truthful with me and who I'm truthful back to. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I think we can touch on this one. When you see me looking down, it's not because I'm bored or fucking around with my phone. It's because I've got this printout of all of the. I went old school retro to do this. So is there a mindset shift that helped you get through some times or things that, difficult moments? I mean, you've just touched on your kids saying to you, it's all your fault or something. Did those kinds of things lead to a mindset shift for you to continue on or to, change your life or to change how you write or whatever?
I think that through writing Chronically Burnt Out, questioning my own self, I felt better able to question what other people were saying. Because I think there's certainly a time when if they'd said those things to me, I would have been really hurt. And not saying it didn't sting a bit, because it's just like, oh, that hurts. But also, I could do something about that, or that gives me an opportunity to learn and grow. Yeah, so I think the mindset shift happened through working on the blog. I think that actively engaging in a process where I want to grow and do better and be better, which on some levels is hard because I'm fucking amazing. Well, so the thing is I think I'm fucking amazing for everyone else. I've been a shit to myself. And so a lot of it is about learning how not to be a shit to myself, basically, and to give myself more grace and more kindness. And oh my God, a friend said to me the other day, I think she sent me a reel or something, and it was like, imagine that you were living in your most loved person's body for a week. How would you treat it? And I'm like, fuck, oh, that's awful. That's so rough. Oh my God, think about what you eat and what you do with your body. It's like, because you wouldn't treat your loved ones the same way that you treat yourself, right? Yeah. And the other one was like to look at a photo of you as like a 5-year-old. Every time you say shit things about yourself, but say them to the photo, I'm like, oh, baby Cassie, like, how could I say that to her? She was so innocent and little, So that I think all those little things, and it certainly helps to have friends who are exploring themselves as well. Yeah, I think I wouldn't be right here where I am in a much better place than I have been in quite some time, unless it was for my journal and the space it's given me to explore things, to talk with other people, to explore different ideas. Hey, dog. She's licking her paws. Naughty. Don't have to put the cone on. She's got allergies. Yeah.
It's all fun and games until somebody gets the cone. All right. I have a quick lightning round now, so
Oh
these
god,
are
okay.
hopefully a little bit more fun, less requiring of you to go into deep introspection. All right, so
Okay.
first question: what is your favorite
Mhm.
burnt out comfort food, movie, or show?
Can we go for coffee?
Yep, 100%.
Yeah, coffee's everything. Sometimes I get to like the middle of the day and I just want it to be bedtime so I can wake up at 5 o'clock in the dark and drink coffee with my dogs. Like, yeah.
Yep. No, I get that. All right. Next question. Which of your books are you most proud of? And I know, difficult question. I know. I get it. I get it.
It's not that difficult. No, okay, so for Cassie, obviously, Butcher Bird is has been my baby. It's quite a personal book in a lot of ways. Wrote that through challenging times. Was a great way to work through some things. Um, and for Nova, I'm going to go right back and say I think Sequence Desire is my favorite. So it's like Indiana Jones, Lara Croft vibes. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I really need to work on the second book.
All right. One weird writing or life habit.
Weird. I hardly ever wear shoes. Is that weird? Like that's uncommon. I know we live in New Zealand, but even in New Zealand, it's uncommon to be shoeless as often as I am.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
feel like yeah, you're probably a little bit more foot free than
Yeah.
most people.
Yeah. My friend from Canada came over and realized that I'm a literal hobbit.
Hmm.
So,
Hmm.
yeah.
All right, great. Most should have been a disaster, but wasn't writing session.
That one requires some deep introspection. I have a terrible. I'm losing my words, Richard.
All right, we've only got a couple more
Yeah.
questions, so
Okay.
yeah,
All right.
push
Let's
through.
see. Push
Yeah.
through. I can do it. Should have been a disaster. I just like literally any time the children are home,
Okay. Yeah.
just my whole life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Yeah. Well, you've got one of them out of the house. You can get another two out. You know, it's legal when they
Couple
turn
years.
16. You can just fire them out the door, and you can't get put in jail for it most of the time. What is next for you? And this is open ended.
Okay. Next for me is in 2 weeks. I'm going to go to Ages of Pages in Hamilton, which is a book event, and I haven't done it before. So that's going to be new and scary. Oh, and my copies of In the Spirit just showed up today, and they're so pretty. Yeah. Anyway, so that's what's next for me. I'm working on the sequel at the moment. So, yeah.
All right. We're at the end now. You've been a champ. We've gone through the gauntlet of trying to record this fucking show to start with. And now we've finally got the technology working, and I'm sure
We
you're
did.
just about ready for a nap.
Are
But
you? You are recording it, right?
every time I look over here, that's because I'm checking that the recording
Okay.
software is still claiming that it's recording, and
Cool.
it still says it's
All right.
doing it. If I click stop recording and it shits the bed, I will throw my laptop down the hill.
Please
Uh,
don't.
all right. Where to find Cassie? I think this is what we want to do next. So, plug your Substack and plug your latest release.
Okay. My Substack is currently burnt out, but hopeful in brackets. And so you can find me there. It's the best place. I'm on Instagram, maybe. Not really. Mostly just my Substack. And my latest release was actually In the Spirit, which is a tale of healing, self-discovery, family, and the magic that binds us to the places and people we're meant to protect. And it's witchy, if you couldn't tell
So
by the
that's a
cover.
Kotahi Bay book.
That's the first Kotahi Bay book. I originally published this in 2014, and it was about half the size. And this is rewritten with Iris Beaglehole, and it was so fun. And I'm looking forward to seeing the second one be fleshed out and developed. The town of Kotahi Bay is so much fuller now, and I love it so much. Yeah.
All right, legend. I will pop some links for that in the show notes for this.
Cool.
And yeah, if you wanted, this is not going to work, but we'll try it anyway. If you wanted to ask people who view this for a comment, what would you like them to comment on?
Did you make it all the way to the end?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
How long is this?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think we're getting close to an hour, actually.
Wow. That's
yep.
Impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you know what? I would love to hear people's favorite current, because I know we go through phases, get up and get going song. Because I'm always looking for new ones. Yeah.
Love it. Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Groovy. All right, Cassie, you're a legend. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today and being very patient.
Hanging out with you.
The feeling is mutual. I will grab your social links off you and drop them in the text for this so people know where to find you. And good luck with the re-release of In the Spirit.
Yes. It's got a ton of reviews, which is great.
Nobody reviews things anymore.
It's got over 400, Richard. It's because of Iris. She has a huge following.
Can you lend me Iris? I'd like to borrow her.
She came to me, so.
And on that note, fuck off.
Please hang up and try again.